The story starts out, I'm sitting on my couch when my mom comes home. She says, "Why are the windows open?" I say, "To let out the smell." She says, "What smell?" I say, "From the smoke." She says, "What smoke?" I say, "From the fire." She says, "Oh my God, what fire?" I say, "From the VCR." She says, "Will you please just tell me what happened?" So I say, "I was watching Rush Hour 2 and I lit a candle, set it on the VCR, it got too hot, melted, caught on fire, so I threw it outside, put the hose on it, and opened up the windows to let out the smell." She says, "Jesus, was that so difficult?" Then she turns and she says, "What happened to your room?" So I say, "I painted it." And she screams, "Ah, this is my house, I want you out of my house, get out of my house." So she throws the new shoes she just got me on the floor and she storms off to her room. I think I should probably do what she says, so I put on the new shoes that she just got me and I get out of the house. And I think I need some time to kill, but I know a donut shop that's open right now that I can just go eat some donuts and hang out until it's cool enough to go home. So I'm walking to the donut shop on the feeder of the freeway, and the grass I'm walking in starts turning into mud. And I don't want to get my new shoes all muddy, so I try and measure the dry patches to take my steps. And I'm looking, and I got a good plan about how to get through this muddy area. And I take my first step, and I sink all the way to my knee in the mud. And it throws me off balance, and so I swing out there, and I try to get my other foot some leverage to push to get my other foot out of here, and that foot sinks all the way to my knee. So now I'm on the side of the freeway up to my knees in the mud, and it's really tight in here, and I'm trying to get my leg out, and by the time I get my leg out and I shake the mud off, I notice my shoe is gone. The mud ate my shoe. And I pull my other foot out, and that shoe is also gone, and I figure, well, crap, I need to eat the donuts now. I can't be going home. So when I get to the donut shop, some police officers are walking out, and they see me covered in mud, and they want to ask me some questions. You know, why are you covered in mud? There's been some reports of hoodlums in the area. Have you seen a group of kids out there? Do you have any ID on you? So I hand him my ID, and he walks off, and he comes back, and he has his gun drawn, and he tells me to get on the floor, face down, with my hands behind my back. And he's like, "Why didn't you tell me you had a warrant out for your arrest?" And I'm like, "Well, if I knew, then I probably wouldn't have had my ID, you know?" And he puts me in the back of his car, and he drives me down to the Harris County jail downtown. And there's another guy back there, and you know this cop, he's running red lights. He's kind of swerving off the road a little bit. He's not signaling any of his turns, and he looks back at me, and he's like, "Why are you nervous?" And I've got my hands behind my back in a concrete little jail, and I'm like, "I don't want to break my arms, you know?" And when we get to the jailhouse, the guy next to me, he's on bars or something, he leans over and he vomits in my lap. So we go inside, and if you've ever been to Harris County Jail, it's standing room only. They hustle you from room to room. And then when you finally get in front of the judge, he tells you that you're here for having gotten a ticket, for having no insurance, and failing to appear in court. So they arrested me, and now I can either plead not guilty and wait for my court date, or they can let me out in the morning if I plead guilty, time served. And I've got things to do, so I plead guilty, and I'm waiting in the last room to be let out to go home, and I'm sitting on the floor, and I'm trying to get some shut-eye for anything, and it's the middle of the night, and I feel a puddle fill up around me as somebody in the room is missing the toilet, and it's urine flowing towards the drain on the other side of me. So I'm covered in mud, vomit, and urine, and they let me out of jail. And I think, I can either call my brother and have him come pick me up, or I can find the bus station, because I have a round-trip ticket to go see Alice Cooper play a Halloween concert at the Arizona State Fair in his home state of Phoenix, Arizona. So I find the bus stop. I can't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, And I get to the bus stop, and they won't let me on the bus because I don't have any shoes. Don't mind the mud, vomit, and urine. I don't have any shoes. But I won't be deterred, so I go to the gift shop, and I buy a pen, a crossword puzzle, and a granola bar, and I have them all bagged separately. And then when I leave the store, I put all of those things in one bag, and I take the other bags, and I wrap them around my shoes, my feet, as plastic bag shoes. They let me on the bus. So we're on the bus to Phoenix, Arizona, and we're halfway through the Texas State Desert, and the air conditioner goes out on the bus. And I have a glandular problem, so I start sweating, and all that mud and vomit and piss just re-moistens and forms puddles in my plastic bag shoes. And the bus driver can't take it anymore. He stops the bus and makes everybody get off. And we're not going to go anywhere until we get another bus with an air conditioner on it. And all the other people are like, "Well, this is no good. What if we just cover him and perfume him in cologne and lock him in the bathroom, and then we finish the journey?" And everybody agrees that that's the best thing to do, so I spend the rest of the journey in the bathroom. When we get to Phoenix and Arizona State Fair, I can see the lights, of the fair, and I can hear the sounds, and I find my way there, and I work my way through the crowds, and I find the auditorium where Alice Cooper is playing. And as I'm opening that door to go into this concert, from the other side, someone else is pushing on the door at the same time, and it throws me off balance, and he knocks me over and spills beer and cotton candy all over me. It's Captain America. He's one of the Avengers. There's a bunch of the Avengers there. It's the Halloween, concert in the Phoenix State Fair, and he feels bad, so he offers to buy me some food and some beer, and he tells me I missed the concert. It's too bad, but it happens. I'm here. I might as well try and have a good time, so I hang out with the Avengers. The next morning, though, I go back to the bus stop because, there's nothing else to do here, and I've got some time to kill, so I fall asleep on the bench outside, and eventually some stray cats come on to me, and they start licking all of the beer and mud and vomit and piss off of me, and they just clean me up all over. But I'm allergic to cats, and so it just makes me turn red and puff up, and I can't see or breathe anymore, and it's time to get on the bus, So this is happening. So they get me on the bus to come back to Houston, and the bus, it's a long trip. So they stop off in San Antonio, and the bus driver's like, "Alrighty, everybody needs to get off the bus. You can leave your things because you're gonna get back on this bus, right? So it's just gonna go get cleaned and filled up with gas and come back." And they do that. When they come back, they won't let me on the bus because I don't have my ticket. And I'm like, "Well, you told us to leave our things on the bus. My ticket is on the bus. Someone else is in the back. He was on this bus, but they won't let me." So he's like, "You can go get the ticket off the bus." And I go up there, and my entire bag is gone. The Avengers actually bought me a souvenir Alice Cooper CD and a T-shirt, and I had some winnings here. My crossword puzzle was in there, but the whole bag was gone. And he was like, "Well, it was probably swept into the dumpster down the street." And he points out the warehouse that the bus went to get refilled and cleaned up. And so they won't let me on the bus. I go to the warehouse. I tell them what happened. He points at the dumpster that the bus used, and so I go look, and sure enough, there is my crossword puzzle in the dumpster, and there is the Alice Cooper CD broken, and I'm like, my ticket's got to be in here. So I climb up on the edge of that dumpster, and I slip on the edge, and I land face first in what I tell myself is barbecue sauce. It's garbage juice. It's all in every garbage. And I just dance around in this dumpster for a while, but I cannot find my ticket. I grab my crossword puzzle. That's about all I care about right now. So I climb out of the dumpster, and I figure, all right, I just need to find the freeway, because I-10 will take me straight to Houston. If I start walking, maybe someone will pick me up. Okay, so I head into the streets of San Antonio, and I get lost immediately because none of those streets make any sense. And I reach a dead end at some point, and I step in some glass. And I sit down on the curb to take the glass out of my feet when a train rolls up and actually stops me in this dead end. It stops there. So I go running over there, and there's no way around. It's just, I'm at a dead end, the train's blocking me here. And then I feel something tap on my head, and I look up, and there's nothing there, and I feel something tap on my shoulder. And that's when I realize that San Antonio is home to one of the world's largest bat caves, and those are bats in the sky that are pooping on me and everything in the vicinity. And so I scream up into the sky, "Ah!" And I start climbing this train. And I climb on the side of this train, and I'm going up in the middle of these boxcars, and I'm completely unhinged. I'm giggling, and I sing the very first song that I ever wrote. And it goes like this. If you're unsure about being insured, get your ass covered or be covered in turd. If you're unsure about being insured, get your ass covered or be covered in turd. La-dee-da-doo-da, 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 la-dee-da-doo-da. And while I'm singing this song, the train starts to move again. And I'm holding on for dear life because I don't know when this train is ever going to stop. And I hurry myself to the edge of this train so that I can maybe, if it slows down, jump off somewhere and walk back to San Antonio. And while I'm holding on for dear life to the side of this train while it's moving, I feel something tickling on my leg. And I look down and I try to shake it off. It is a stink bug crawling its way up my leg. I'm trying to shake it off. It works its way up to my butt, up to my back, convulsing a little bit, gets up to my shoulder. I'm looking it dead in the eye, and I go to swat it, and the train lurches, and I fly off of the train into the gravel. I tumble and roll, regular cuts and bruises, but the bug is squashed. So now I get up, and I figure if I just follow these train tracks back to San Antonio, then I can find the freeway, and then I can walk back to Houston. So I'm walking down these train tracks in this big grassy field, and I'm starving, and I'm covered in, what is this? From the beginning, mud, vomit, piss, perfume, body odor, beer, cotton candy, cat hair, garbage juice, blood, bat poop, and stink bug. There's nobody that's gonna help me in this kind of situation. I'm probably the scariest person out there right now. And while I'm walking, I see some patties of poop, and I see some mushrooms growing in the poop, and I know what those are, and I know they're probably not gonna kill me, but if I eat some, that might help my hunger a little bit. So I eat the mushrooms that are in the poop, and sure enough, after about 20 minutes, I start hallucinating. And out of nowhere, the rain comes and it fills the sky and it just starts pouring down rain on me, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I'm a little bit hallucinating on mushrooms, and the rain comes and it just washes all that gunk off me, and I feel clean. Like, just as quickly as the rain came, it passed, and it's sunny again, and I see water glistening on all the grass everywhere, and I sit down because I'm going to dry myself off here in the sun. And I'm sitting there and I see little rectangles popping up all over my body, little rectangles in the grass and in the sky, and I think rectangles, 90 degrees, right angles, all right. Everything is all right. Boxes are all right. I am the box man. I am going to be all right. Everything is all right. And I start putting my clothes back on, and they're stiff from having dried in the sun, and I am sunburned completely from head to toe, just a red sunburn, and it hurts like hell to put these clothes back on me. But I get up and I start walking back to San Antonio. And when I get there, an 18-wheeler does pull over and pick me up, and I tell him my story, and he drives me all the way back to Houston because he's headed that way. And we get a flat tire, and a bunch of people get off, and then they get, change the tire, and then they get back on the 18-wheeler, and we finish the ride. And he pulls right up to the donut shop on the side of the freeway where I started this journey to begin with, and he gives me some change, and he's like, "Good luck." So I go to the donut shop, and it's kind of crowded in there. There's a long line. When I get up to the front, I know exactly what I want. I want a bag of donut holes and a pen, and a cup of coffee, because I have that crossword puzzle. I'm just going to do this crossword puzzle at one of these tables. And she gets those things for me. And there is one seat available at a two-seater by a window. There's a guy sitting there. He's got his briefcase. He's minding his own business. I figure he won't mind if I sit down next to him. So I sit down. I start doing my crossword puzzle. And out of the corner of my eye, he reaches over. He opens up my bag of donut holes and eats a donut. I kind of can't believe it, but I'm also a little bit crazy from the journey I've been on and the mushrooms, and so I let him have it, and after another minute, he reaches over and he eats another donut hole. And I can't say anything now because I didn't say anything earlier, but I think, you know what, I'm going to take 2 donut holes. So I take 2 donut holes, and then he goes and he eats a donut hole, and then I eat 2 donut holes. And then I eat 2 more donut holes, and then he goes for one, but he opens the bag and he sees it's empty and he crumples it up, and without saying a word, he gets his briefcase and he leaves out the door. And I'm a little upset because I've come all this way. I can't do the crossword puzzle. The coffee sucks. I haven't had any donuts, and I'm just ready to go home, and I stand up to leave, and there underneath my crossword puzzle was my unopened bag of donuts. And I remember this is exactly what I was reading in the couch when I started this journey at my mom's house, and I jump up and I shout, "Douglas Adams lives!" And I run out the door, and I run down the street past the mud where I lost my shoes, and I make it all the way home. And when I get home, my mom is sitting on the couch, and she sees me, and she says, "Oh my God, what happened to you?" And I remember what happened the last time she asked me what happened, so I take a deep breath, and I say, I was on my way to get donuts when I was arrested for not having insurance, but then when they let me out of jail, I had to get on a bus to go see Alice Cooper play a Halloween concert at the Arizona State Fair, and on the way back, they lost my ticket in San Antonio, and I got on a train, and then an 18-wheeler picked me up, and I got this free bag of donut holes. She said, "I'm glad you're okay. What happened to your shoes?" And I said, "They were eaten." She said, "What do you mean they were eaten?" I said, "In the mud." She said, "What do you mean in the mud?" I said, "On the side of the freeway." And she screams, "Why can't you just tell me what happened?" She storms off to her room. And I'm tired, and I think I just want to take a shower and lay down and think if I can come up with any kind of lesson from any of this. And that song came back into my head. If you're unsure about being sure, get your ass